Welcome back to the Blues Society of Northwest Florida weekly podcast. I am your host, Paul Stadden, and thrilled to be joined once again by Jeff Jensen. You all remember him as the guy who absolutely blew the roof off the place with his guitar playing, and he's also been nominated for a major blues award. So there's a lot going on with Jeff Jensen, and I'm thrilled to have him back on the podcast. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great, Paul. Thanks for having me, my man.
Well, thanks for coming back. Well, first off, tell me about this award. It's right there in the front of your website. People have been talking about this, and I'm one that always is skeptical about awards because I like it to come from the people. You know, I like the people to say, vote with their dollars, and people have really voted for you. They have really said, everywhere I've gone, everybody I've talked to, they said, this Jeff Jensen guy is going to be somebody huge in blues. But it's really nice getting recognition with these awards. So tell me about it.
Man, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we're nominated for a Blues Blast Music Award. I'm nominated for the Sean Costello Rising Star Award. And that's a funny category to me. When I think about what that category implies,
right.
I feel like we won just by being nominated,
right?
And everybody else in that category as well. Like if we've been able to run things in a way that people feel like we deserve that nomination, then that to me feels like a complete win. I feel really good about it. And another thing about that specific award, literally everybody in that category is a dear friend of mine too,
awesome.
Which is really funny, and it's great to see them recognized too. I mean, my friend from Portland, Oregon, Lisa Mann's in that category.
Yeah.
Brandon Santini's in it. Damon Fowler's in it. Sean Holt's in it. It's a powerful category, and I feel honored just to be in that group of folks and be considered for it at all. It's pretty awesome.
Well, good luck to you. I know that they're going to be announcing the finalists, I believe, on the 23rd of October. So we've only got about another 10 days or so before we find out whether you won. But again, I mean, it's got to be hard because you want to root for your friends, but there's also that sense like it would be nice to get that from me as well and be able to hang that up, right?
Yeah, sure. You're right. There is that. It's so hard to. I really appreciate being recognized. I really appreciate all the awards and everything we have in blues are all really powerful and nice. That really though, I don't play blues in any element of competitive manner at all.
Right.
I want to inspire people. I want to make whatever small way I can. I want to try to make people's lives better. I want to inspire young people to play music. I want to, there's so many things I want to do that are more powerful than a literal element of an award to me. So being nominated means a lot. It's super cool. In terms of who wins or not, especially in this case, honest to God, the nomination itself was flattering enough to me. Like if I win, I'm probably going to jump up and down and run around whatever room I'm in at the time. But
right.
If not, it's fine with me, especially when it's all my friends that are nominated too. I'm kind of going to be happy either way on this one.
Well, any way you look at it, Jeff, you're a winner. I mean, anytime that you get nominated for an award in the thing you love, again, it's not a competition, but it is nice to win. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your move to Memphis because we were talking more last time about gear, your albums, and I don't know that we really got a chance to delve into you, but let's talk about that 2011 move from Portland to Memphis and what happened.
Man, life happened.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
It's funny, man. I kind of just got myself in a situation that I just couldn't get out of. I had moved to Portland from Southern California, and I had a really good life going, and just kind of out of nowhere, one step at a time, it all just completely fell apart. And it was really unexpected and kind of really hard for me to deal with. And I was down to just about nothing, and I was going to move back to where I came from, Southern California. I was going to move back there, and I just decided that out of nowhere, I just decided I should move to Memphis. I felt like if I was going to go start my whole life over completely, then I might as well just go somewhere. And of course, all my friends and family thought I was crazy.
Right.
Because that's kind of a big move. But something told me that it was the right thing to do. And I just literally, I went to go get my oil changed in the vehicle I was driving, and I in Portland. I was in Portland to get my oil change. I just decided, you know what, I'm going to Memphis. And 400 miles into Memphis, I called everybody that was expecting me to be back home, and I told them I'm going to Memphis. And it was honestly, it's been the greatest thing I've ever done. It's been super powerful. I got really lucky. As soon as I got to Memphis, I ended up hooking up with Memphis Blues harmonica. Brandon Santini. He's amazing.
Agreed.
He's such a great harmonica player. He's such a powerful band leader and singer. And so I ended up hooking up with him pretty much instantly as soon as I got there. And I got to tour with him for 2 years as his guitar player and his musical director. And then from there, I released my third record, but my first record since I've been in Memphis last August. And since then, it has just been a freaking whirlwind.
Well, as long as we're on that subject, man, let's talk about the genesis of Road Worn and Ragged, which you can get on your website, right?
Yes, sir.
Plug your website real quick, man.
JeffJensenBand.com.
Jeff Jensen Band. That's Jensen spelled Jensen. JeffJensenBand.com. Road Worn and Ragged, and you've got 6 originals on there. And tell me about the genesis of getting these songs. Were they kind of born out of the pain of having to move down there?
Yes. That album is the exact, in chronological order, musical biography of my situation.
Wow.
From moving from like my whole marriage falling apart and just kind of losing everything I had to moving to Memphis. And I didn't even realize we did this, but I had written those songs all through that struggle. And,
right.
Road Worn and Ragged itself, it kind of has a dual meaning. Of course, there's the element that most people take it as, which is, we've been doing over 200 shows a year. We've been driving about 40 to 60,000 miles a year for the last, for just the last few years. That's exactly how it's been. So, you can certainly take it in terms of us being a very, like, in the trenches touring band. I mean, we are road dogs as it gets right now. But I actually titled that album more for the emotional elements. Like, I moved 1,000 miles from Southern California to Portland. Then I moved 2,400 miles from Portland to Memphis. And
right.
I actually, the meaning of Road Worn and Ragged to me is more about I was kind of was emotionally kind of ragged and kind of road worn from all that moving and trying to reacquaint myself with an environment. It's so, that in itself can be really stressful. And then to do it on terms that aren't great is even more kind of hectic and stressful. So all those songs on that record came from that experience. And then completely coincidentally, or maybe subconsciously, when we put the tracks in order, all of the original songs are actually in order of when I wrote them. So It actually tells the story chronologically, which is kind of I didn't even realize it till later, but I thought that was a pretty cool coincidence.
Well, look at your album then as your autobiography, man. It is super cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about the band that's on the record and the band that you're touring with, because I know that you got 2 guys with you that are on the touring band. You got Bill Ruffino and Robinson Bridgeforth. Awesome players. Yep. I know that they were with you last time, and they are phenomenal. But obviously, you have to strip down from what you have on the record to what you're using live. Do you kind of miss that? Do you prefer having a trio with you, or do you like having like a big full band to go with you wherever you go?
Both. I like both. When I tour with Robinson and Bill are such a big, powerful rhythm section that I feel like we don't lack. I don't miss anything when we're touring as a trio. I have so much support to let me really get to do what I want to do. If I want to dynamically bring it down, those guys know how to come with me but still stay full. Yeah. And when we bring it up, they both know how to pick it up where they play more, but they're not overplaying like you can hear in some smaller bands. They really are my absolute dream rhythm section in that regard. I do like playing with other musicians. Like I like the live collaboration and interaction that happens when I get to play with a bigger band, and especially when we get to have like an organ player or another really good guitar player. There ends up being just another level of interaction that happens. So I've kind of learned to really appreciate both. So I'll kind of take it either way, especially with the foundational elements of Robinson Bridgeforth and Bill Ruffino, because there's such a powerful rhythm section.
Man, you guys sound amazing live. Actually, I have two questions for you left. The first one is something that I try to ask absolutely everybody who comes on to the podcast, and I've been lax about that the last couple times, slapped my hand. But I want to get your thoughts on the nature of what the blues is, because a lot of guys seem to be stuck in a certain era, and they think that's like the correct blues, whether it's mid-'60s kind of more English infused electric blues, whether it's old 30s Delta blues. And then you have these guys who just throw everything into a melting pot, whether it's metal, jazz, rock, country, and everything just kind of influences that. Do you think it's necessary to have kind of this stuck in one era mentality, or can you let everything infuse like that?
I really appreciate that question. I really appreciate when we as a community talk about that, because it's important. I have a slightly different perspective that I don't hear people talk about as often as I feel like it should be talked about. And right off the bat, I feel that blues is way more of an emotion than it is a music.
Okay.
That's a kind of an ambiguous statement that's left for interpretation. But another thing the blues is it's a history. It's not just a music; it's a history.
Right.
And so what I think is really interesting is if people simply digress blues down to the very musical content that it is, then I feel like we're missing a big part of where it came from and what it actually is. It's not just a 12-bar progression. It's not just some dudes that were playing it in the Delta that decided to play music. It's not some dudes in England that decided they were going to rockanize, if that's a word.
Sure. I get where you're going.
It's a history, and so it's understanding where it came from and why it came about. To me, the number one thing that the number one conclusion that I've come to is it is an emotion. It's an emotional music. And to me, when an artist is on stage and they are playing real soul, like with real soul, and they're giving themselves entirely to the music and to the audience, then I am much more likely to consider that blues music, even if it's slightly out of the traditional form.
Sure.
So, and then I was talking to Bruce Iglar of Alligator Records, and he had an interesting thing that he said to me once, and I really appreciated. There are bands that their job is to continue the history of blues, to play the traditional blues music and make sure that the significant element of that history stays alive. We have to have that. But on the other hand, we also have artists that are evolving it, appealing to younger generations, appealing to, growing it, keeping it slightly. It's always interesting, but like changing it up a little bit to make it interesting and appeal to other people. And as long as we have a balance of contemporary artists and traditional artists, then in my perspective, we probably have a really healthy blues community that's going to continue to thrive while honoring tradition.
It's kind of like, man. It's kind of like having an old muscle car as well as your modern grocery getter. I mean, no one wants to drive around in one of those old, 60s cars that gets 12 miles to the gallon and smells like gasoline all the time, but you preserve it. It's just there for preservation purposes,
Exactly. That's true. And we try to, one thing we get as a description of our band is we get the word diverse a lot. And I feel like we're pretty diverse. I just try to play stuff that I believe in. And that's the number one thing that I try to instill in my band and my musicians, as well as, with myself. I just want to play songs that I really believe in.
Yeah.
I don't, and the longer we play together, the more albums we come out with, we don't have any filler, at least to us. We don't have any filler in our show. We play stuff we believe in. We play stuff that emotionally touches us in whatever emotion that means. Sometimes it's deep sorrow and sadness, but sometimes it's just happy and fun. And you can't when we're out there playing live shows, like the element of just playing stuff that legitimately makes us smile usually makes an audience smile too, and we all have fun. So as long as there's something that legitimately captures an internal emotion within myself, and I feel like I can try to musically interpret that, and hopefully our audiences feel that like emotional exchange, if you will.
We do, man. We do. And I am looking forward to seeing you play tonight. But one final question. Are you going to wear the top hat?
I am not. I didn't even bring it on the top. I know. I know that's become an accidental signature. I gotta start bringing it.
It works, man. It works on Slash and it works on you. It looks good. So next time you come, I
did an interview. You know who else it worked on really well is Leon Russell as well.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Man,
yep.
It looks good. It's a nice signature thing, and I hope to see that big old top hat on you the next time you come here. Jeff Jensen, come on, see him 8 o'clock, Lili Marlene, Seville Quarter at the Blues Society of Northwest Florida. Blues Jams. It's going to be an amazing time. If you haven't seen Jeff, he's going to blow you away. And make sure you go to jeffjensenband.com and get that album. It's an amazing 6 originals plus a bunch of covers that you will absolutely love. Jeff, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, and thank the Blues Society, too, for having us up. We really appreciate it.